Okay, so Peyton Watson's a star, and the Nuggets have to keep him. But that makes for difficult choices. We're going to tell you the choices the Nuggets have to make coming up on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being an everydayer and making us your first listen. We appreciate each and every one of you, especially those of you that have joined our Everydayers Club, which you can join at LockedOnNuggets.supercast.com. We got extra content going up on there. Looking for, I'm going to start putting up some bonus episodes with some more player deep dive breakdowns. We'll talk about those here after a while. My name is Matt Moore. I have been a credentialed reporter, cover the Nuggets for 14 seasons. You can catch my work at Locked On NBA Daily. I'm also at Hardwood Paroxysm, the Substack, as well as over at the Denver Dig, covering all things Nuggets. I'm going to do a piece on Zeke Naji and his defense and what he's kind of brought to the table and the opportunities that provides here in the next few days. Joining me is Swipa. He's on Twitter at SwipaCam, on YouTube at SwipaCam, and you can catch him after every Nuggets game, giving his thoughts on the game, as well as here, as well as on the Player's Choice, as well as on Locked On NFL Game Night, as well as on Locked On NBA Game Night, as well as on the Press Box. So you can catch him at all those different places. On today's show, Peyton Watson has made such an emergence, such a great jump, and there's no bigger proponent of Peyton Watson and his future, present, all things Peyton Watson than Swipa. So I wanted to have the conversation with him. This is going to be like a multi-part, I think, discussion, because like we're going to get into it today with the choices at like the decision tree. And then Ryan and I, because we're super nerds, we'll go into it on Sunday night or Monday, because I'm out on Sunday. We'll go into like a whole discussion about what those mechanics of the cap are and how they are going to have to find ways to keep Peyton Watson. Appreciate you guys being with us. By the way, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That is 4 to 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I did the conversion. Look at me go. I was told there would be no math. Swipa, first off, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Can you give us a little insight on your outfit today? So the other day it was hipster, coffee.
Yeah, this is more just straight up lumberjack.
Lumberjack. Okay.
So mostly it's that I'm wearing like I'm dressed to work out after this, and so I needed something to go over it. So flannel is the easiest. I've embraced my flannel period in my life in Colorado.
How are your miles doing now? I think you should tell the people like how far you've come.
I'm doing really well. My goal is to get to. I don't want to say that. I'm doing really well. I'm doing awesome. I have more muscle mass now than I've ever had in my life, which is pretty great. That's just been really phenomenal. I have a goal for my 5K by the end of the year, and I have a good benchmark that I did at the Turkey Trot. So good. I'll do another one here in a few months. I'm going to do 3 5Ks this year. So we'll see what my next one racks in at. Great. All right. I want to start here. I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to kind of like ask you, okay, with where Peyton has gotten to.
Yep.
And how he has played, what is the priority level for you for keeping him? Like, how important is it relative to other options? Where are you at in the, it is so important to keep Peyton Watson that I am willing to do X on him?
Well, we spoke, was that on the show? I cannot remember. And I specified that if I was looking at Peyton Watson currently, I feel similar to how I felt about Jokic in 2017. And especially the end of the 2016-17 season, how I felt about Jamal Murray in the 2018-19 season, and then how I felt about Michael Porter Jr. in 2021 season. Meaning that this is a stretch of basketball that for me is enough to say that the talent level, the skill development, the the work ethic, all of that for me has gotten to a point where this is a core member of this team. This is a core drafted player that has tremendous amounts of potential that literally we may not be able to fully comprehend until it gets to that point, which is good. Like, that's just the way development works. We might not realize at the moment that this could end up being 4 or 5 years from now, the player and one of the players that really extends Jokic's and Jamal Murray's prime. Because I'm thinking 4 to 5 years from now, Peyton Watson is going to be 27 and 28. Jokic will be, his birthday's in February, so just say from January. Jokic is going to be 34, 35, which is my age. And then Jamal Murray is going to be at that point 33, 34. So I do think there's something to how do you maximize the value of the two best players in the history of your franchise, probably by the time we get there. I'm saying by the time we get there with Jamal, and getting them a legitimate player that's developing into a very good scorer over time, who has a lot of defensive measurables and chops, and I think has the athletic profile to be somebody that can backpack your team in different ways at times, or with Jokic in particular. I think those are the things for me that I've kind of felt at this point. So that's number one. So keeping him is like top of the priority for me, one on the bingo card. Number two is trading him and getting back the best possible asset, I think, on the market. Matt, if I told you right now that in terms of rookie scale players that are actually non-first overall pick type players, rookie scale players, I think there's an argument Peyton Watson is near the top of the list of trade-worthy players that the league is looking at saying, we believe we could do something with that. That is a valuable player. Like, he's near the top of that list. We'd have to go through the whole entirety of the list of what it is.
Isn't the better way to say that you think he should be rather than he is?
I think he is and should be. I do think that this period of basketball for a lot of people has been, this is like, for instance, this is the kind of player typically, Matt, when you go into the draft, you say, okay, by year 2, 3, if we just give them nothing but reps, here is the player that we're trying to build around that we want. We want a two-way wing. Obviously, AJ Epinesa, who is like obviously a different kind of prospect coming out. You have your Caleb's like that's coming out this year, really good players. I think in the past, like obviously, you've gotten your Zachary Richeches and all them. This is like the kind of archetype you're looking for, a 6'7", 6'8", great athlete who has some defensive development and offensive development. I do think this is kind of the ideal draft prospect you're looking for. The issue is Peyton didn't do anything in college, so therefore he just wasn't valued as a prospect. But I think this is kind of what you're hoping for in the draft. So for me, at 23 years old, I do think this is somebody that teams are looking at saying, like, I think this is a really valuable kind of player.
I get what you're saying. Which is like, look at the model and look at all these kind of things. For me, it's like, I haven't heard that. Maybe somebody will report that. Maybe somebody will report that there's that kind of like interest and belief. Right now, I think to say that he is presumptive. And sure. I'm oftentimes just like, we're always surprised at like how the market reacts to a lot of players. Like, we were surprised that they got Bruce Brown for what they did the first time around.
Yeah, sure.
We're all surprised that they got Tim Hardaway Jr. on a min. Like, the market sometimes is a lot different than what we kind of expect. Mm-hmm. And especially I think for some of these young guys, I think if you had looked at some of the guys this summer and been like, surely somebody will come along and offer them something in restricted free agency, and nobody did. And you could be like, well, I don't like any of those guys, and that's fine. But like, they'd also accomplished more than Peyton.
Yeah, but I think Josh Giddey's makeup and I think Cam Thomas's makeup and Kuminga's makeup are just not the same, though. For me, personally,
yeah, for you. That see, I'm always like,
do you think the market like value Josh Giddey that way?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Had the pedigree. There was a reason that he was like a guy that people were reaching up for in the draft.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like I get it from the perspective of what Josh Giddey does. I get it. The skepticism, but so I guess here's my question. I do have one more follow up before we go to break, which is, do you feel like Peyton can not only be, so do you view him as a guy to help as Jokic and Murray age, or do you view him as like, he can take the reins? Like, he is a legit third superstar. Like, do you see him as there are going to be games with those two on the floor where he can be a 1A in a high leverage, high pressure winning environment?
When did Jamal show that for you? Like, do you remember the moment where he did that? Because
2019.
Was that the playoffs, the Spurs series, or that before?
No, 2020 in the bubble. Yeah.
Well, remember the Spurs series though. That was for game 2. He took over in the fourth quarter, and that was like the biggest moment we saw from him, where it was just like, oh, this is crazy. Remember,
he got like I thought it was later because I think he got murdered in the early part of that series. Like he was getting picked on
But
defensively.
remember, that was the boom, boom, boom step back three over at Derek White, where it like sounded like a brick went through the rim.
Right.
I just think, man, like even Murray, remember he had the back-to-back 30-point game versus Portland in 2019. That was his. So what year was that? So 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19. That was his third year. And then obviously 2020 was his like coming out party. I think, Matt, I would not be shocked if he has a couple Jamal Murray first run into playoff moments this playoffs, where it's like he scores 22 points, he got some key stops, he has 5 rebounds, and he has 3 assists, and it's kind of like, damn. Like we did everything we thought we were supposed to do. And I think yesterday, the Dallas Mavericks game, now you tell me you probably feel different. We can talk about the other side as well. But the pull-up 3 he had to put them back up, the mid-range shots he hit to put them back up, and I know you love passing and playmaking, got 2 feet in the paint, spun around, found Jamal on the other side of the back pass.
Talked about it last night on the show. Yep.
It's like, wait a minute. And he's done that. The Celtics game, he did it. The 76ers game, he did it. The Atlanta game, he did it. I do think he's showing some chops, Matt. And I'd actually love to ask you some more questions about the other side.
Okay, let's talk about it coming up here on Locked On Nuggets. We'll continue this discussion about Peyton Watson. The season's heating up, and DoorDash is a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash has made the entire season more fun. Because every player has their bag, with DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. Those late night interviews hit and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built exactly for that. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger for the friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, and gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag, all season long. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Okay, you got questions. What are your questions?
Is that the closest you'll ever get to wearing a Broncos shirt?
Ooh.
Would you ever wear Broncos gear?
Is
that like if that's your most hated sports team because of the
no. See, that's what upsets me is like I hate the Raiders way more. I respect the Broncos. Like I respect the Broncos. Like I don't like your success pains me and hurts me on a deep spiritual level, but I have the deepest of respect for the Broncos. I do not respect the Los Angeles, Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. I do not respect them. So no, I do not hate them more.
Okay.
The Rich Gannon era was brutal for me.
For you, when you evaluate the Peyton Watson thing, one, I've given you a couple comps in my brain of what I think he is on track to possibly become, meaning some frameworks. I told you Paul George, Josh Howard, those kind of players. You know how many people haven't watched Josh Howard, by the way, when I brought him up? Like, I remember Josh Howard. Like, how do you not remember Josh Howard? Like, he was amazing. Literally, they don't win. Like, you know what I mean? All those games and all those series without him. What is your comp mentally for Peyton Watson? And for you, are you just more like, for instance, when Jokic took when those first few games, when Jokic had that 40 ball in New York, right? And it was just like, this is new. Or he had the 27-12 game, I think, versus Tim Duncan. We're like, okay, this is new. Were you also kind of slow at that moment to be like, I don't see him turning into like, you know, all NBA MVP candidate, but you saw some early signs, but were you also just maybe slow because those kind of development turns don't happen?
Yeah.
So maybe that's,
you know, we were still in an era then coming out when it was like, you can't get away with a defensive liability.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. You can't have this kind of like, can't do it with this guy. And also just like a passing big man, like that's nuts. That's crazy. Like that's wild. You've never seen that. Like that's never worked in the NBA. And it is really a testament, I think, to Nikola's individual talent on so many levels, including his willingness to become more of a scorer. Like he just got willing to be like, okay, fine, I will just like drop 40 on you. Because if he had never gotten past that hold up, then I don't know that he gets where he is. And I think that's one of my issues, I think, with like the slowness on Peyton is like, I don't see anything that's like new there. I don't think this is like unconventional. I don't think this is like transformational. We've seen long, rangy scores before. And we've seen a lot of guys with like long, rangy defensive aptitude who lose that once they start becoming more of a primary scorer, because that's how you get paid. You don't get paid playing defense. I hate that, but it's true, unless you're big. So I think the comp question is really good. I like the Josh Howard one. One that's underrated because he had injuries and never got where he was going to go. But Brandon Rush is a really good comp. I think Brandon Rush is like an excellent kind of comp for where he could have gotten to. It's hard to find guys with his length, with the frame that he has and the touch. Yeah. So like that's the combo that I think is like really kind of interesting. This is a good one from Peyton Watson Truther, which is like young Siakam. It's actually not bad. Yeah, Siakam was actually way more raw than Peyton was.
Siakam he's also, I don't think people realize how long Siakam is. He is like Spider-Man level long. Peyton's long, but Siakam is like, yeah. Well, and so Matt, let me read these numbers to you, Toe, because I think for me, when I hear you say that sometimes, I'm kind of like, all right, well, let me see. So this year he's shooting 65% at the rim, which is, not bad. It's pretty good. He's shooting 51.6% from the mid-range area, which is the non-paint mid-range area.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's shooting 55% from left corner three, 47% from the right corner three. He's shooting 31% from above the break threes this year. And if you look at his numbers and just the efficiency of where he's gotten from last year, I mean, it's a pretty like drastic improvement.
So I want to ask you that on that point.
Yeah.
Does the drastic improvement not make you hesitate at all?
No, but because I think for me, and I told you this before, like, remember we had these conversations with a lot of people about Christian Brown, and we would have people tell us, well, Christian's shooting 39% from three. It's a good 3-point shooter. No, it's never, for me, it's never about just the end result. A lot of it is how you do it. When I watch Peyton score at this point, I'm watching him actually take isolation attempts, get to good, valuable spots on the basketball court. Because you know who else is doing that this year, Matt? Jamal Murray. What did Jamal Murray do yesterday when they flattened out the defense? He got below the nail, just like SGA does constantly, for that turnover mid-range shot, and then you can kill you from a really efficient shot and a really good look in a one-on-one isolation setting. Peyton has gotten to the point now where he's actively, consistently hitting pull-up twos. And you remember, I think I said in the 23-24 season, that was the next step for him, was developing some kind of mirror of some kind of offensive game. If he has to bail out a possession, he got to hit it. Now, he did it versus the Celtics a couple times in Denver. But I also said he needed to get his transition efficiency up, and he needed to increase his foul rate at the rim. I said this 2 years ago. And Matt, he's hitting those pull-ups better. He's hitting open threes at a really high level now, and he's shooting pull-up threes, which is, that stuff is going to ebb and flow, especially for not a great shooter to start his career. But Matt, over this period, he's averaging 6.5 free throw attempts a game. For me, that is very replicable, because when you learn how to initiate contact as an athlete, and again, that's why I've said he reminds me of, he has a length profile of SGA. He'll never be SGA, but SGA, the thing that made him so special is that once SGA figured out, I'm more nimble than you are, I'm longer than you are, I'm basically more athletic than everybody I face, I can get to my spot at will, and because of my length, I can get up versus anybody to hit a mid-range shot over him, or I can get to the rim and get to the foul line consistently, and Peyton has done that. So I think, Matt, he's like watching players across the league, and he's like breaking down their game bit by bit, and everything that he seemingly has needed to add to his offensive profile, he's done, including become a more willing playmaker passer. Now, that stuff takes time. It takes years to learn how to do that at a high level, except unless you're Jokic or something like that, or Magic. But even Jamal, it took seasons for him to get there, and it really popped off in the 2021 year when he went down with the injury. So I guess for me, man, I'm just like, I maybe this offseason, what we can do, or maybe when we have a break, all-star break, we should just take apart his game and just look at the things he's intentionally trying to get to, and then say, well, you can see he's building a map for what the kind of player that the coaches want him to be and he wants to be, and let's see how he continues to build into these things over the next few years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I would love to do that. I think the shooting efficiency is like, here's a good kind of comp for it. He's got a higher EFG on jump shots off the dribble than Devin Booker.
Devin Booker's not shooting for world of sure.
He is just behind Brandon Ingram.
Yeah,
So Book on pull-ups is 63rd amongst about 163 players on this.
That includes
So
3-pointers, right?
Do what?
That includes 3-pointers?
Yeah, it's a ZFG. Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, Jokic is at 48.1, Watson's at 47.6. He's shooting about the same as Jokic on jumpers.
Less volume though, like by a good bit, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these numbers are also funny because it's like you'll notice like crazy. By the way, Tim Hardaway Jr. number 1.
He's
Jamal Murray number 8. That's how that
but
goes.
for
Bones
you,
Island, number 14.
But for you, that feels right though.
Yeah.
For those two players, and so I think Matt, maybe, and this is the good part about you and the way you're structured. And I know you hate compliments, but this is a part of why I think you work well. I think you're more like process over a long period of time.
Yep.
And then you can build me a floor. Like I'm not putting a house here unless the floor and the foundation is set.
Yep.
And so I think for Peyton's like still putting cement down for you. You know what I mean? He hadn't got to the floor plan yet. And so I think for you, you're just, and for me, I really think about basketball in terms of like, I can see what you're trying to get to. And that's why I have issues with Christian. When I talk to you about Christian, I'm like, what is Christian trying to get to? Because everything I'm seeing is like this really, really good off-ball player, specifically when it comes to like cuts, drives, transition. I don't like the profile he's building out for himself as much. That's a very limited role. And I think Peyton is like, he's trying to touch all these different things. And so far, he's excelling at it at a degree that is showing growth.
I also think I don't think you can have 5 guys who all want to do everything.
100%.
Yeah. Well,
but they kind of need him to, don't you think?
They need more, which is why Peyton's really interesting. We'll talk about the playoffs. We'll talk about what it's going to mean. And then I do want to ask this central question. This is like the most important one, which is how aggressive do you want to be in pursuing this angle of building around Peyton Watson? We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets.
Trade Jokic.
That was a comment, by the way, he was referring to. Not Fridays already feel different during basketball season. FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 11:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. You just open the FanDuel app during Happy Hour and always bring something new, boost, bonuses, and surprises. The timing's perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. Extra energy on a Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. All right, I want to ask this question, Swipa. Are you in a place where you want them to do something before the deadline to ensure that they can keep Peyton Watson in terms of clearing up the money and clearing up the space? I don't think it matters what we say here, because what they're going to do is they're going to play this out. Like, they're going to keep everybody. They're not going to disrupt anything. I don't think they're going to move Cam Johnson. I think no matter how much people cry about it, I just going to tell you, I would give the odds of Christian Braun being traded at any point over the next 2 years less than 10%. It would have to be somebody does an absolutely bonkers, insane, we will give you an all-star caliber player for Christian Braun type of deal that they could not say no to.
The last time you were this certain, they traded MPJ 2 days later. So possible.
Yeah,
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not of the mindset of like a lot of the fans are freaking out over the contract and the money and everything. For me, that's just not like much of a story. You'll handle that when you get there. I think John Wallace and Ben Tinder, what they have shown at this point is, one, they talked directly to Murray and Jokic. I think they made that abundantly clear. They said they sat down with them. They asked them about the roster. They asked them what they needed, and both of them gave their responses. So they obviously take into account what they've said. You said multiple times, he loves Peyton Watson, i.e. Jokic. Murray seemed to have a really good relationship with Peyton Watson on the court. I think it matters that your two best players are like, hey, we like playing with this guy, and he fits. Like he legitimately fits and he adds things to our team.
Yep.
Hey, Murray's like, I don't want to do everything all the time by myself. Sure. I can. Peyton, here you go. And Peyton's like, cool, I got it. And I'm getting better at it. It's like watching somebody develop in real time next to you. And I think that's the first part of this. The second part of this, I think if the Nuggets got some outrageous trade and they were just like, people in chat, he's saying Trey Murphy or something like that. If somebody offered like Trey Murphy and I don't know, what's another, like maybe Jordan Hawkins or something like that for Cam Johnson and Peyton Watson.
For both? No.
Yeah.
Oh, under no circumstances. That's a no.
You wouldn't trade both for Trey Murphy and
no.
Hawkins?
Under no circumstances, no.
You just don't think Trey is a good fit with that? No.
Oh no, I think Trey's a great player. I think there's couple things here. One, Trey's been in such a terrible organization that there is a real risk of like, I don't know how this is gonna go.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think that's any fault of Trey's. I don't think like Trey may go somewhere else and be phenomenal like PJ Washington was for the Mavericks. Like it may just be like get him out of there and he's able to be the guy he is. A little bit of injury concerns. The other thing is that he was a really great defender early in his career, and as he took on more
offensive usage went up, and then
and like you have to worry about that with Peyton too. I think so. I wouldn't do that. Obviously, not for both. I honestly wouldn't trade at this point. I will like this is what Peyton has showed. I would not trade Peyton Watson for Trey Murphy. I wouldn't do it.
So that's what I'm saying. I think for me, I'm more than comfortable sitting it out because I just do not believe, Matt, for this year, there's such a thing as too much talent. If your biggest issue as a season is like, okay, we're all healthy now, Matt, we're 30, we're 32 and 13, and Jokic is back. What do we do? Brown's back, Cam's back. What do we do? And the options like, hey, Cam, would you be willing to come off the bench and be like the best bench player, best sixth man in the NBA going away? And you got Jonas Valanciunas and Tim Hardaway Jr. next to you and Jalen Pickett next to you. Sure. Let's do this. I think there's a reality for me where it's like you got so much talent, you're basically putting on the floor two different starting lineups throughout the entire rest of the season.
Can I ask you something? Do you care what David Adelman thinks in that situation?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, so like if Adelman was like, no, I want to keep it the way I want to go with the starters. It's gonna be Cam Johnson starting, and Payton's gonna come off the bench. You're okay with that?
He's perfectly within his right to do that, and I think he's done a good job. He's earned the right to do it.
And you won't, and until it goes wrong, you won't disagree.
I mean, I could disagree in the initial portion as well, but disagreeing and then it going wrong doesn't mean I'm right. It's just situationally it could crash, but it also could go really well. Like maybe Peyton's just like, cool, like I don't really care. I'm finishing games.
The thing that really just kills me is how like extreme everything feels right now because like I just am really like, guys, Christian Brown, I did this with Jamal as like a reference point. When everybody was murdering Jamal Murray to start last season, I was like, guys, he's been a core part of your franchise. You won a championship. He's a big time player. He has great stretches. He's having a bad start to the season. You got to chill out. And I'm in the same spot with Christian Brown, and I'm in the same spot. Now, I will say, one of the things about Peyton Watson is, to me, it's like, here's how it's felt. Is like, oh yeah, he was like he was okay. Like he stepped up in November. Like he was better in November than he was to start. Didn't have a great start to the season when it was everybody. And then he got more opportunity when CB went down and Aaron got hurt and had some more opportunities. And then like he's been absolutely lights out while Yoke's been out in January. But like when I go back and I look at the numbers in terms of the efficiency, like he's above 50% in games 11 through 20, 21 through 30, 31 through 40, 41 through 50. He's above 40% from three, all of those brackets too. Like he's not as good as he's been in January, but he is absolutely like he has been consistent in terms of this efficiency, scaled up or scaled down since the first 10 games of the season.
Yeah.
And that's really encouraging. I do think like the key here is mostly like I'll be glad when the deadline's over just because we can kind of transition away from the topic of what they should do. Because the answer probably is like I've kind of come around on the reality is that they are likely, I think, if you're going to keep Peyton, the only real way to do it is to move Cam Johnson. You can talk about Christian, but like I'm just again, I'll tell you this. You're right to mention that I was confident they weren't going to do anything because they telegraphed so much they weren't going to do anything. that stuff to how they positioned it is like it came together very quickly. They were like, well, we did due diligence, and then it turned out we had more options than we thought we did.
Yeah.
The other part of that though is that I do know ownership has a preference for Christian Braun. There's a belief in Christian Braun, and that belief in Christian Braun goes from ownership to management to coaching to Nikola.
What do you think Nikola, in terms of his like perspective?
Nikola.
What do you think he actually, because I think he's smart enough to, well, obviously, to know that like we get into some of these situations though, Peyton just might objectively be a better player than Braun in these spots. And he's not going to tell coach to do anything. But I think, i.e. the way I pass this ball, it's pretty clear. I think this is the best option, you know, and I think the Dallas Mavericks game, for instance, like I just think he trusts Peyton. I think he trusts Christian too. But I do think there's something to, Matt. Like they're going to get into the first round this year. I feel like they're going to play the Suns or whoever in the first round. And it's going to be like Peyton had so much length against Devin Booker and Dylan and Jalen Green. And then on the other end, if he's maintaining, like not shooting 45%, he's shooting 40% or 38% from three in the corner, and Christian's going back to shooting 32% on open jumpers again. You know, I do think there's a world in which that happens. You know,
there's also a world. You're right. There's
also the other world as well. There's another world as well.
But that's the thing is like, my only thing is treating what's happening. My big resistance is treating what's happening now as quote unquote reality.
Sure.
Right. Because we're just like, whenever we're at we do this so often. And I do this and you know this, covering the league. Like you go through this stretch where you're like, are the Rockets the best team in the league? 2 months later, do the Rockets need to make a trade? 2 months later, the Rockets look like they're surging towards the playoffs. 2 months later, the Rockets need to make significant trades because they blew up.
When have you seen me this sure about a player?
Do what?
When have you seen me this sure about a player before?
Good or bad? Good or bad? Good or bad?
Let's go good. Let's go good.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. But you've like, that's the other thing though, is like you have really like you've staked your claim on this position. And I know from your perspective, you're like, yeah, because I had reason to. But I'm also caught with, I'm not going to be tied to any sort of like, I'm always trying to balance what I think of a player with what I know the reality of the situation is within the organization.
Yeah.
Because what I don't like dealing with is like all the like right now it's trade Christian. He's on a poison pill contract and that the deal makes it almost impossible to trade. They don't want to trade him anyway. Adelman absolutely believes in him. I asked about it because I know how frustrated fans have been with him. So like that's why I asked the question to Adelman about it.
That's all
I wanted to give it a chance to communicate because people are like, why would you play him? He's awful. When it's like that guy has made huge plays over and over and over again to help them win regular season and playoff games for the past 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And it is wild to me that there is this idea of all of that is gone because he had a bad 16 games.
Is he this franchise's Lou Dort?
It's not a bad comp.
Because Thunder fans, when you hear them talk about Lou, I think there's a lot of complaints because he doesn't do the one thing they feel like Shea needs help with. When he passes you the ball or the swing hits you, hit the shot.
Well, and what's crazy about that too is like it's a great comparison because Lou was a great shooter the last 2 seasons. He just was. And everybody's like,
he had those 1 of 8 moments in the playoffs and back-to-back playoffs.
Yeah,
you know?
and then you feel that's the whole thing is like he's a shooter that doesn't feel like one, and Christian's a shooter that doesn't feel like one.
Yeah,
that's it. And if you're like, no, Christian's not a shooter, no, I'm sorry, he hit 39% from 3 last year. He would like, that's a shooter. But if you're not guarded as one, it fundamentally shifts things. Now, I will say this: and Ryan kills me with this. If you're listening, Ryan. We treat spacing only as a singular concept of an individual player talent rather than the way that the floor is spaced with multiple guys. You don't have to be like last night was a great example of this. Spencer Jones shooting 33% from 3 on the season. And people are still like, what is that shot? Or not 3 on the season this month. He's shooting 33% from 3. But he's in the corner. And so when Jamal drives and kicks to him in the corner, there's an immediate pass upward. When you have 2 weapons on the perimeter properly spaced, it's just way different. One of their problems last year is they didn't even have like the mechanisms to be able to get to those kind of looks, and teams were just packing the paint. It's different now.
But you also know one thing, as somebody who loves quarterbacks, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Maybe not the best anymore, but he's at least top 10. One thing that you know about watching quarterbacks, Matt, and watching players play, don't you feel like there's almost like this eye of a tiger confidence to them, and you can kind of feel it in the moment? Like when you got Patrick Mahomes, you just feel comfortable. Late game situations, don't you? Fourth quarter situations.
Yep.
When I look in Peyton's eyes, I just feel like when the moment gets tightest, I don't think he's actually the type of person. He will miss. He can miss. But I don't know if he's the type of person to lose confidence.
I'm not worried about that, man.
That's a big deal to me.
I think where we differ, though, is I worry about the minutes leading up to that, where he tries to do too much and gets himself into trouble, and those live ball turnovers are a real
Isn't
problem.
that okay, though, for where he is in his career?
Not in the playoffs. It's fine now. It's great now. You can't do it. One, you can't do it when Jokic comes back. And two, you can't do it in the playoffs.
But won't his touches be even? Don't you think his efficiency on those touches will go up when Jokic comes back, though? No. You don't think so?
It can't, because look at how he's shooting. You can't reasonably be like his efficiency.
No, not those. I'm talking about more so the ball handling assist touches, meaning less turnovers. His touches will have a lower turnover percentage because of how he's going to be like moving the ball, or even dribbling, or even the pick and roll stuff with Yoke.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If what you like about him is how he's creating on ball, those aren't going to come. Like, you're talking about a totally different set of circumstances.
Yeah, but like, Jamal Murray doesn't even do that much when.
But look, we do need to go back to that first 10 games.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's healthy. He's playing his designated role. 29% from 3, 45% from the field, 6.4 points per game.
But I think the thing that we're disagreeing on here, which is a healthy disagreement, I think they had a process in mind what was going to happen, and the process got sped up exuberantly because of all the injuries. And what happened was, as his role increased, and I think as the usage increased, he just got better through it. And so he almost went through like a warp drive. You got to go perform for this team. And then Adelman, Murray, and Jones, even if you watch, I've literally watched him throw the. You cannot take a serious bro. I literally watched them throw him the ball off the court, and I'm just like, yeah, there's just a belief. I feel a belief from this team in Peyton, and I think that matters. Also,
I agree with that. I agree.
We don't talk about Jamal at all. Are we just going to ignore the fact that Jamal is like averaging 30 and 10 this year?
Yeah, and I talked about him a lot last night. But also that, like, I will say, I think there's a good relationship between. I'll get about this. There's a really good relationship between Jamal Murray and Peyton Watson, unlike with other players that have come through here in recent.
What do you think it is?
Years. I don't know. I don't know.
But Peyton is kind of. Would you say Peyton is kind of like, his personality is more like he's a leader in his own way, but he's also not like take over your spot type thing. I think he wants to be better, and I think he came into a situation. Thankful that he was with Denver. Thankful he was around Jokic and Murray and Gordon. But that thankfulness extended to, I want to be just as good as y'all. But I want to like do it with you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I just think I think Watson has the backing of Jamal. I think Watson has the backing of Nikola. I think Watson is good with everybody. This is one of the really interesting dynamics here. Is there were not subtle complaints about Peyton last year. Like, they made mention of it in like the press conferences, and those guys in my experience, have not done that a lot. But they were like pretty consistent, like, hey, don't worry about your shots. Maybe we should just try and win games and play better so that we're not relying on Nikola to score 45 points every night. There was a lot of complaints, and it was pretty clearly at Peyton. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they would be like, no, it was actually about whoever. But there is a different feeling this year in terms of the level of trust. But I also do think that some of this is like, when people are like, why are you dismissing what he's done? I'm not trying to dismiss what Peyton's done. I'm trying to have like a really good, balanced, long-term perspective rather than just like getting super caught up in this particular moment. Because if you're like, couldn't he just be this now? Couldn't he just be this star? Yes, that happens. Kyle Lowry, Here's a weird comp for
Oh
you.
my gosh, that was a crazy jump that he had
Yeah.
out of nowhere, mind
Yeah,
you.
Kyle was like, "Hey, pretty interesting player in Memphis. Like,
Yeah.
he might be good someday." In Houston, it was like, "Hey, this guy's like a really solid point guard." He goes to Toronto, and he's a multi-time All-Star. Like those jumps they happen. They absolutely happen, and they happen right around this age with this kind of opportunity that's been afforded him. My entire concern is just about trying to mold what he has been afforded in terms of opportunity with the injuries this season into the full form Nuggets. I have consistently said that if Peyton was on another team, he could be putting up those kind of numbers. If he was on the Washington Wizards, the Charlotte Hornets, or any of these other teams, that he has the potential to have already worked in and putting up these type of performances. But his role is very, very different when you have the whole thing available.
Should it?
Like
But
their game plan.
should they? Well, let me ask you a re-question. And could you ask me? Should they morph more what they do around Peyton for the sake of having options, for the sake of diversity?
Say it again.
Should they mold what they're doing offensively around Peyton's skill set and this new development for the sake of like diversifying?
Yeah, that's like a really interesting question, and I think the answer is no. How can I put this? I don't know how much of this is translatable at the highest level.
Yeah, of course. I mean, fourth quarter situations, playoff situations. Yeah. I mean, you know who's going to get the ball.
Yeah. And, one of the problems, I will say this has been a problem for both Malone and Adelman is like, it's really hard to go away from just spamming the Jokic button. That's hard. That's why Mike never got the opportunities that he's gotten in Brooklyn. Why would you do that? Why would you waste these possessions? Especially when Nicole is on the court. Why would you waste these possessions by not having him touch it? And I was always like, because you need him to be able to do things so the other guys don't have to do everything. It becomes this like real catch-22. And
so you don't think top of second quarter, top of fourth quarter should kind of be Peyton time? Not full like take over, but do what he's doing now. Like just, we're gonna run the offense through you.
Yeah. I mean, you can run the stagger, which that's worked really well, right? Like last night, like it worked really well with Jamal and Peyton together. Like that works. And with Val, it shouldn't get worse. I don't see any reason why Peyton would get dramatically worse with Val. We'll see. The spacing is a little bit different, but I think it should be fine. And that kind of affords you to have the best of both worlds, right? Where it's like with Jokic, he does the corner three shooting where he's been so phenomenal. And without Jokic, he's more on ball as a weapon that can create offense so that Jamal's not having to dribble around for 35 seconds and killing himself trying to create offense. Like I said, I love the idea of the Val, Cam, Peyton lineups. I think those lineups will murder when they get everybody back. I think those will be great lineups.
Does he have more alpha in him than Cam?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's what I'm saying, too. That's something you can't teach that. Like, that's also something else you just can't like.
But also, like, I don't know that that's always good.
No, it's. I think for me, it has to be done well. Leadership for me, it's always you have to do it well. There's a lot of really good leaders in the world. Doesn't mean they lead to prosperity and hope and happiness. I think it has to be stewarded well. But I think the best thing that could have happened to Denver, Matt, is that of every great all-time great player he could have ever been connected to show him there's a way to do this where everyone's involved in your success. Is Jokic and Murray, I think. I think both of them together have their own dynamic.
Here's why I disagree. So Christian got $125 million, right? The number of guys who play, it's hard to make, like 25 million is like a huge amount of money. But if you want to make $30 to $40 million a year, if you want to make $40 to $50 million a year, if you want to make $50 to $60 million a year, you can't do that in that role. You can't do that.
Well, he's not that role though.
Well, that's the thing is I think if not him, then I think people that are around him believe that he is.
But no, but I think that's the thing we're missing each other though. Like I don't think he has to be that. I think some of this is Denver, respectful to you, you also have to rebuild your offense a little bit. Like you can't just be this all the time. And it's not a bad thing. Like it's not like I hope you hear what I'm saying too. Like this is something I wanted them to do last year.
Yeah, but I also think that like David Allen's response to be like, we have a 130 offensive rating when everybody's healthy.
That's true. But also, I do think there's something to Matt, based on how I've been evaluating the Pacers last year, why they were so damn good. Not OKC, because OKC is a complete different system. It's Shea, Dub sometimes, elite defense. But I think having multiple ball handlers who can attack the rim and score and create and shoot, that's a real big deal. And one of them is a 6'5" top whatever shooter in the league. The other one is a 7 foot best player in the world, top 10 player all time, super efficient from everywhere. And then the other one's a 6'7" uber athlete who can get down in spots, hang pull-up jumpers, and also pass. Like, I just think there's a way you can incorporate all of it. Why not rebuild? Well, I mean, literally, the two-man game, it has a three-man game with Aaron Gordon. They rebuilt the two-man game with Aaron Gordon. They did. They rebuilt the two-man game with Aaron Gordon. So why can't they also rebuild what they're doing offensively a little bit?
I mean, it can, and like the evolution would be phenomenal. It'd make it even better and more well-rounded, and and it helps avoid the stagnation risk, right? All these kind of things. Mejorado Jose says, sounds like Matt just doesn't want Watson taking Brown's place. I've never actually been that much of like a Christian guy. I'm not like it's not that I have no problem with Christian. Christian's always been a complete pro. I've said from the very first second I talked to that kid, I was like, this guy's going to be a pro in the league for 12 years. Mm-hmm. He's done his job. What I do not like is I do not like overreacting. I don't like recency bias. That's what I don't like. And when it's like, you're talking about like, there has never been a wider gap between Peyton Watson and Christian Brown than right now. Christian is having a horrible injury-fueled year, and Peyton is having one of the best breakout seasons in the NBA.
But do you don't agree with this version of Peyton better than last year's Christian Brown?
Yeah, for sure.
With room to that's so I'm Matt, I guess the energy I want you to get from me is more like excited about the basketball process. Mm-hmm.
I know
I'm not stamped anywhere.
The problem, see, and this is cool. Like, I like it when you're this excited about it, but then it turns into, and so what they need to do is not from you, but from everybody else is like, and so what they need to do is that based off of the fact that Peyton scored a bunch of points this month, is they need to fire Christian Brown into the sun and max out Christian Brown or max out Peyton Watson. And I'm like, okay, because I do this when guys play well and play badly is, hey, in 2 months, this is probably going to be different because players go up and down. I'm just trying to be consistent with my message, which is like, I'm always like, everybody but Jokic has good and bad months. Everybody but Jokic has good and bad months. The best players in this league are like, that's the thing I respect the most about Shea. Every single night, 30. Every single night, 30. It's not 45 one night, 25 the next. 30 every night. 30 to 35 points. ... It's 35 and 6. It's 33 and 6 every night. And Yoke's like that, and I'm just like, okay. But if we talk about this now in this way of definitively they should do this, get rid of Christian, go do this other thing, you're ignoring in 2 months you might feel completely differently. You just might. Like, if Peyton has a bad playoffs, which is not likely, but is possible, how do you feel in that moment? If you're reacting the way you are now, how do you feel in the moment if it's like Peyton Watson was really bad in that game 6?
Because I think for me, I think Murray had a few bad moments in the playoff last year.
He did, yeah.
But he has like a very heavy responsibility. But the thing is, remember, the Nuggets were better with Murray on the floor by himself than they were with Jokic on the floor by himself.
Right.
Even though he wasn't producing to the same degree, nor had the same responsibility. So I do think there's something to like Peyton being there, his existence on the floor, I think is going to allow for Denver to do some things they wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
I do have a question for you. Does Peyton need to start? He deserves to. I can't argue with you there. He deserves to. Does he need to start?
Need is an interesting word. I'm trying to think of team chemistry before anything else. And Peyton, I would say yes, but primarily because of a couple of things, Matt. He has proven now at this point that he's the best thing they have going for them at the wing spot this season. He's a core member of the team. He's been there for 4 years. Like, he's embedded in this culture. Cam is just like not the same player as well. I mean, he's, obviously Cam coming in the year was better than him. Cam's also just not a core member of the team in the same way. And like, I think some of this Cam has also come off the bench before. Like, he spent real time coming off the bench for the Suns. And I think for him getting back into the game and getting back into the flow of the season, hey, Cam, you were gone for 4 weeks. You're coming off the bench. Peyton, you keep doing what you're doing. If Peyton, keep playing well, keep doing what you're doing, get synergy with Jokic, get synergy with Murray, get synergy with Gordon, which you already have. Now keep adding to what you're doing. And then literally, I think the synergy for the team is just like, I think it fits better for what the team is actually looking to do with both him and Christian in the starting lineup. Because I think both of them, those are both homegrown Denver athletes that Jamal and Jokic and Gordon have spent significant time with. Cam is just not that same player. Maybe if Cam was like Pascal Siakam, then that'd be a different conversation. But I don't think that's what Cam is. Cam's not that type of player. Cam also isn't that type of personality either, if that makes sense.
What if Cam comes back and kills it?
Great. Off the bench.
What if Cam comes back and kills it off the bench and Peyton struggles?
I mean, I just wouldn't change it personally. I don't think there's any point in changing it. That's a possible outcome though.
Okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I am universally of the opinion you do not lose your starting spot to injury. That is my universal take on this, is that I do not feel it is fair to players to have their spot, their role, their opportunities, their touches taken away from them for injury. I think if he comes back and he struggles and you're better with Peyton and you are genuinely struggling and you're not putting in a 130 offensive rating, do what?
But benching it would be a bigger deal than bringing him off the bench, wouldn't it be?
No. Not to me. Not to me. Because it's like, at least then it's like you had your opportunity and we made a decision that was the best thing for the team versus we submarined you.
Between the three players, Brown, Cam, and Peyton, which one of them, which two do you think finishes more games for the rest of the season?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how Adelman chooses these type of things. Peyton Watson, truther, who wants to put himself out as a objective viewer in this, has asked repeatedly, what about multiple ball handlers? What about multiple ball handlers? What about multiple ball handlers? I don't know. It's like versus OKC. I don't know if it's good to have multiple ball handlers if one of them is turnover prone. So there's like upside and downside here. Peyton increases your ability to break the pressure that OKC provides. OKC may literally just turn over Peyton like 6 times. That's the one weakness in his game, is he's turnover prone. That's the one weakness. And then against OKC, you like the Nuggets' entire structure and formula here this season has been this: when Jokic is healthy, don't turn the ball over and we murder you. Mm-hmm. If we don't turn the ball over, we murder you. When we get sloppy and we screw around and we have a bunch of runouts for buckets, we are vulnerable. Or if we have Ryan, or if the opponent has Ryan Nembhard, and Jokic doesn't feel like defending that night. But if they just don't turn the ball over, you can't stop them. You can't.
Do you think this team is now better? Is going to be made better because of the stretch? Could Adam talked about that? They have some wrinkles in the non-Jokic minutes that they just
yes. I mean, if you want a non-Peyton oriented thing, the chemistry between Jamal and AG has never been better. They annihilated that squad with the short roll last night. Yeah, like it was just like Jamal and Aaron knew exactly what to do, and just every single time the Mavericks were like, "Well, we have no good options here, so I guess you're just going to score." Cool. Like they had there was nothing they could do. There was nothing they could do against that combo. Jamal and Peyton have gotten more into screening for each other. THJ running the split action screens for Jamal. Yeah. Like all of these dynamics help. My question though is like they build these things. I am skeptical here. They build these things and then they don't use them when Nikola gets back because they just spam the Nikola button. And this is what I don't know. Like, I don't know. We'll see. It's been a great show. We went an hour. We should go. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure to follow Cam on Twitter at SwipaCam. I'm out for the weekend. I'll see you guys back on Monday. I got a friend coming into town tomorrow night. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys again next time here on Locked On Nuggets. My name's Peyton Watson Truther, and I know the truth.